Welcome to Habitly Courses, a production of Manage to Win. Each course is divided into multiple lessons for easy viewing. All are now completely free, so you can watch them on your own or work through them as a team. Please subscribe to this channel, leave a comment, and share your favorite lessons with others. Try to find something that helps you be your best.
Hello, this is David Russell. I'm back for Lesson 2 of Experience Bookends. I hope you passed the exam on Lesson 1. Before jumping into this one, it's a great review tool to use those exams. But now let's really kind of dive into what exactly are Experience Bookends and what am I recommending here? How do I recommend that you go about this? So we have to remember that client experiences are something that come and go pretty quickly, and we have to be intentional about it. You can see at the top of the list here, as far as our client experience relationship goals, we need to be intentional because they have expectations, and we need to meet or exceed those expectations. And everything we do, words we speak, actions we take, demonstrate whether our company culture cornerstones, our mission statement of why we're in business, our vision for how we're going or growing as an organization, and our values for how we do business, basically how we behave and what we say says these are true and they're real and we have a strong company culture, or we don't. Our objective is to create lasting positive memories, and everything we do reinforces and further develops trust. Now, every interaction defines your client experience. However, or I've got a big orange but on there, they're going to remember their first impression and your final interaction the most. And I believe that possibly Gene Bliss, formerly with Land's End and an author now, created the term customer experience bookends. I've changed it slightly using client because I think that works better for our clients. But I think she came up with it, so I do want to give her credit. She wrote a good customer service book too. Anyway, we want to be really good on the first and last interaction. That doesn't mean we can be terrible in between, but first and last, we want to make it good. And the reason that I bring this up is problems happen. Mistakes are made, work takes longer than planned, technology doesn't work, communication fails, but this happens before someone calls you or in between when you're working on the call. There's no excuse not to start strong and finish strong. And if we start strong and finish strong, clients are more likely to forget those challenges and delays, mistakes, and other issues that come up in between. So we want the first and the last interactions of an experience, quote unquote, to be very positive. So let me walk you through what I mean. First of all, before we speak with a client, you review the notes and understand anything you can about the person that you're about to speak with and their environment. And do you need to get information from anyone else? Do you need to review past tickets, other documentation? You want to be prepared. You want to be informed as much as you can. Not always possible. Now, what I'm going to recommend is that your first bookend, which is the start, all right, has 3 C's, and your last bookend has 3 C's. So the first bookend of a client experience starts with a check-in. You're going to smile. Even if you're talking to them remotely, the smile comes across over the phone. Introduce yourself, and you have a sincere interest in them and their topic, whether they want to buy something or they want support or they've got a problem, whatever it is. And as you talk with them, you're going to ask, how can I help? Okay, so that's a check-in. You got the introduction, you have interest in them, you're asking how you can help. The next part is confirm. So they're going to talk about what their needs are, whatever's going on, and you want to confirm their expectations. Now, if they're unrealistic, you might need to adjust them. Politely, respectfully, whatever. So anyway, confirm their expectations and then agree on the actions you're going to take or the process. Once again, ask anything else I need to be aware of, anything else I need to consider, and then explain the expected time frame. I think really the first item on that process, the time frame needs to be a lock. In other words, you've got to deliver on the first one. Now, the other ones can be more general. Maybe they're going to have to be more flexible. There'll be some changes, but the first one, you really got to nail it. So you're going to confirm, And then lastly, the third C of the first bookend, the starting point, is you're going to consider. Ask how they prefer that you communicate progress to them. Okay? You want to take into context any cultural clues. All right? Now, if you're working remote and not seeing them face to face, are there comments they make? Do they have a behavioral style? Do they seem to have some motivations that you need to be aware of as you're going to move forward with this and communicate with them and do the work? And in addition to that, you're still going to do those things when you're on site. But when you're on site, you can also look at, okay, what's the office decor? What type of company is this? What's the body language of this person? Anything else that you can see visually, you can smell, you can hear, use your other senses there. And you can observe, even when it's remote sometimes, how they interact with other people and how they speak of other people. So that's going to clue you in on how best to support them. So this is how you start, okay? Very important. What you're going to do is you're going to check in well, provide an introduction, sincere interest, kind of establish the rapport. You're going to confirm what the expectations are, the work that's going to be done, the time frame. And then you're going to consider. So you're not done yet. You're going to think about, okay, I got to be aware of certain things with this person. Maybe the way you normally do something isn't the way they want it done. So you need to be aware of it and really take it into consideration. That's how you start. That's the first bookend. Now, the last bookend, or when you finish, after the work is done, or you've responded, in general, you don't leave on site or finish remotely and just send an email without first speaking to someone. You don't leave on site without speaking to someone. You don't just send an email without trying to speak to them. You're going to ask for someone on site, or you're going to call them by phone. And if they're not available, maybe you have an alternative contact or ask for one. And then you're going to communicate in some way, ideally before leaving or signing off. So in other words, before leaving, you ask for them and they say, sorry, not available. Well, may I speak with their assistant? I just kind of wanted to update on what I did. Fine. Or if you're working remotely, you call them, they're not available, leave a voicemail. Or if it's super important, zero out and get their assistant. Okay? So the 3 C's for the last bookend are start with communicate. That's the first one. And what this means is that we are going to discern, remember their behavioral, their communication style, and then we're going to communicate in that style. So this communication piece, as we're closing out, really important. Now, if they have questions or they have additional statements, we're going to be demonstrating active listening skills when they talk. You listen, you repeat back snippets or short statements to confirm you're understanding them properly. And then if there's additional next steps or anything you need to confirm, you can do that or ask questions. And then anything you discuss verbally, you send them an email that confirms the key points, maybe provides some additional details. Not long emails typically, but just bullet points. So the first piece of leaving, of ending, of finishing this client experience is how you communicate. Really important. The second piece is, once again, confirm. That was the second one when you started too. So you're going to explain the work that was done for them. You're going to write proper documentation as appropriate. You're documenting your work as you go, right? Confirm their expectations have been met. Discuss what they should expect moving forward. Are there going to be any other problems? No problems? What should they expect? And then the final C is correspond. So this is, I'm just confirming, you are updating the PSA as you work, where you document your customer service work. You're providing phone updates, email summaries as promised, and you're sincerely thanking them. And if appropriate, you might do a customer satisfaction survey or something else to confirm satisfaction. So those 3 final steps in the last bookend of a client experience. Number 1, don't leave without talking with someone. That's like super, super important. Okay? And next, what you're going to do, these 3 C's, communicate. You're going to talk in their preferred style. You're going to confirm things. Is there anything else they need? And then you're going to correspond. You're going to be documenting and communicating with them to close it out. We want every client's memory to be that we responded promptly and completely and we also solved their problem, right? Solved their problem. We left everything better than it was before, as in solving their problem. We sincerely communicated that we care. We followed up on outstanding items sooner than our committed time frame. So what's the result of that? They trust us. We want them to trust us. If not, they get excited about us. They become evangelicals for our company, telling others about us. That'd be great. But we can start with trust, and that's important. So we close out lesson 2, which explains what experience bookends actually are. Think about some tickets, service tickets, situations, scenarios. Maybe it's not service. Maybe it's in sales, whatever. Maybe it's inter-office. Where are some things that have happened where, if you had started better or you had finished better, it would have worked out much better for everybody? So ask these 5 questions, review the information if you need to, and then take the exam and pass the exam. This is lesson 2, and there should be at least one idea here for you that you can consider piloting to improve the experience you're providing your clients. Bye for now.